Hello. Today, we're going to talk about how growth can be unsettling, but you should still go for it. You should still start the business. You should still join a new sector. You should still go on the interview. You should still do all the things that would make your life's dream come true after federal service or really any aspect of your life, even if the growth is unsettling. My name is Monique Fortenberry. I am a former federal executive, lawyer, and coach who helps members of the broader former federal community make intentional, engaged, and informed decisions about their life after federal service. And part of how I do that is through this YouTube channel. So today we're talking about growth and how it can be unsettling. And I'm going to tell you about a recent growth spurt that I had and how it impacted me, what it means for all of us, and what we can do about it. Okay? All right. And I want you to think about like any growth spurts you've had or just any difficult moments you've had as you have been in transition doing new things, even if those things are of your choice, like this YouTube channel is of my choice. So when I started the channel, I had, I don't know, 10 subscribers. And these are friends and family who were very kind to me to subscribe. And then I started really moving forward with the business. I had been working on it for any number of months, but then I posted information about it to an organization, and then the subscribers grew a lot. And then I pitched someone who has a large following on YouTube to be interviewed on their YouTube channel because I think a lot of former feds are there. And so I pitched. I did not think the pitch would work. It was my first pitch, and I thought, I'm just going to get in there. I'm going to start practicing. And then she said yes, y'all. She said yes. She said yes. And one, I didn't think she was going to say yes. And two, I didn't know it was going to happen so quickly. So between the time I pitched and when I was actually on the show, it was not a long period of time. It was less than 2 weeks. And so that began, I guess you would call it a debut week that I didn't plan to be a debut week, but it turned out to be that. So I was on a YouTube channel on Super Bowl Sunday, Benito Bowl. That was on Sunday. On Wednesday, I posted on LinkedIn for the first time about my business, very subtly. I mostly talked about my transition from government in a very high level way. But that post received a lot of engagements, and people did visit my website. So that's Wednesday. And by Saturday, I had two paying clients. That was last week, y'all. And I did try to post a video. It's a video I prepared a while ago called 1 Year Later. But I had just talked about that on LinkedIn, and I had talked about it during the YouTube live video. And so when I recorded it, I didn't feel the kind of energy I need to feel when I do this work. Like it has to feel impactful to me. And I have to think that it's going to be impactful for you, no matter how well it performs. I have to believe in it. So that video was up for a couple hours. I took it down and I cocooned, right? And so even though I took these efforts, I did this work, and I got some positive reaction from the world, and now I have almost 125 YouTube subscribers. Thank you so much for being here. I paused. I was like, I am not posting anything else. I Because now, so this is what happened. So when the woman said yes to the YouTube Live, I went out and got a web camera, which I'm using now. I got lighting, which I'm not using now. Bought a little more makeup, right? And then it got real. So the thing that I have been working on for months and that I shared with you quietly on YouTube, I don't know, about a month ago. And the business I had been building with a business coach, like not just because it's fine to work on your own. We do what we have. We do what we can with what we have. which is why I built that landing page myself. So I had been working towards this, but for me, it was different to be on that channel that has a lot of subscribers. It was different to go out and buy equipment and care about it in a different way and be exposed in a different way. So I was in government for 25 plus years. And even though I was on panels and I occasionally did speeches, most of my work happened internally. And it needed to be sharp and perfect and like all these things that you do when you're in government, that all of us do when we're in government, right? We're talking about taxpayer dollars that are being spent and money that's been appropriated by Congress in most instances. And so even though in the last video I just declared, look, y'all, this is not going to be perfect. I'm not going to edit the videos. I'm just going to go with the flow and watch my own growth. I still freaked out. I still freaked out. And I think the thing is, that's okay, right? It's okay if things are more visible and we need a moment to adjust. It's okay if we're pitching someone or going on an interview, starting off in the private sector, doing all kinds of things we weren't expecting to do, probably. Um, Having new coworkers, learning that world. It's okay if in the midst of that we pause, but we don't want to stop forever, right? We don't want to simply decide we're done with it. And I'll tell you, frankly, that is something I've done in the past, which is I'll, I would go out, do a speech, and feel really exposed, and then come back and not do a speech for another year. That is not what I am doing now. Right? I'm living into my dream now. And and that dream is two parts, right? One is really tapping into my creative expression and speaking through that. And the other is supporting other people, and in this case, former feds. And that's far greater than any fear I have of exposure. I just need to realize that that's part of my process now. And I want you to realize that that may be part of your process too, and that it's okay to pause, but I don't want you to set up shop and put up drapes and get new floors and get a nice couch and decide that's where you're going to live. No, no, no. We need you. You need you. You need that expression of yourself, whatever it looks like. I need myself right now to honor the goals I have set, honor the commitment I've set, even when I have a week like last week where it's like, what is happening? Okay, so then let's talk about four things we're going to do when we're growing to make sure that we stay on the growth path. Okay, so number one, and this was an interesting one for me. One is to ask yourself, is this a strategic pause, as in I'm adjusting, or am I afraid? Or is it both? How much? I think that gives us, I'm going to say it one more time. That gives us important data to use, Kaizen. That gives us important data to use as we are figuring out our plan moving forward. Did I just need time to adjust, to integrate? Or am I just scared to death and I'm not going back in? I'm not doing it again. Either way, there's a path forward, but I think it's useful to know which one is motivating us and which one is driving our behavior. The second one is, and I'm going to say this one all the time too, which is be nice to yourself if you're taking a strategic pause or if you're fearful, because either way, you're doing something new, you're growing, and growth can be unsettling, growth can be difficult, and it's part of the process. One thing I thought about in this regard, and this information is new to me, y'all. So, do you all know what it takes to summit Mount Everest? I did not know this until recently. I read it online within the last few weeks, and I'm going to get it wrong, but you're going to understand the concept, which is so you start the climb, and then you climb, climb, climb to get to base camp, and base camp is pretty high up. Again, if I get the details wrong, it'd be nice. But you get to base camp and then you stay at base camp for a while so we know that you're breathing okay and that you are acclimating to this new environment where I understand there's less oxygen. I don't know if that's a precise word. So then as you begin to summit, this is what you do. This is what we can do too. So you're at base camp and then you go up one level to camp one, which is at a higher altitude. And then you go back to base camp and you hang out there for a while again because we know you're cool at base camp. You spent some time there. So you're stretching and you're growing, but you're going back to base camp. So my question for you is, what is your base camp? Where do you return when you are on the growth path and you need to slow it down for a moment to make sure everything's all right? Amen, amen. So listen, so then even after you do that for camp one, okay, you go back to base camp, then you go to camp two. And when you go to camp two, you don't go back to camp one. You go back to base camp. You go back home. You go back home. You nourish. I know it's not this simple. It's the extreme up there, right? But you're essentially going back home to nourish, to say to yourself and others around you who are helping you, yep, I did that, still doing okay, still going to move forward. Well, if these elite climbers who are risking their lives are going through these steps to be able to attempt to summit Everest, we can do it in our lives too. We can go back to base camp. We can go to camp one, we can go to camp two, we can do it in whatever order we want to do it. But the point is to make sure we are solid as we move forward. And I had to dig deep to get to that one because like you, I was kind of beating like you may do, right? I was kind of beating myself up. It's like you have momentum. You're supposed to go. And it's like, well, actually, I'm supposed to respect who I am. I'm supposed to respect where I am in the process. And I'm supposed to have a plan to deal with it. So now my question isn't, why did I pause? My question is, when I need to go to base camp, do I know what base camp is? Do I know what I'm doing there? And now I know that I'm not staying at base camp. I'm still, and we don't have to even envision it going up. I'm still going to go out. I'm still going to expand. I'm still going to explore. But going back to base camp is part of the plan. And so I'd ask you to think about what is your base camp and what do you need to do to make base camp a nourishing, wonderful place for you so that you can make yourself your way to camp one. You can make yourself your way to camp two. You can take those risks. You can do some things you haven't done, or you can do some things you've done before again. And maybe you won't have a year between the first time and the second time. Maybe it's 9 months, 6 months, 3 months. And then, boy, we will be on our way. My name is Monique Fortenberry, and I really care about your life after federal service. One of the ways I do that is I'm here on YouTube, and I love to be here because it's part of my dream come true, my dream life after federal service. That's one way. I also love it because it's free and everyone can access it. If you want to go deeper and do one-on-one work with me, the way to do that is through strategy sessions. And those are 90-minute sessions where we get really clear about what is most important to you, and we develop your plan to move it forward. It's also a really sacred space to talk about your story of maybe what happened, your story of where you are in your life, your story of what is your why right now? Why does this matter to you now? We do all of that in the space of the sessions. And you can learn more about that in the description, or you can visit my website, nextchaptersessions.com. Nextchaptersessions.com. Okay, you all take care. I want you to continue to grow, and I want you to honor the base camp. Take care. Bye-bye.